definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man,
MH.
He is the DB of the show. We are Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Here today, when we're bringing you back inside the locker room, we talk about topics in and around the game. And we're going to do a checkup today, man. We usually give you each year, maybe one or two checkups, just kind of talk about how we're doing and how the culture of sports is doing right now. So, MH, you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. So, in the nature of check-in, man, I just wanted to kind of ask, man, how are you doing this far kind of in our sports year, right, man? We kind of take a little break around the holidays, and then we get it started right after Super Bowl. But, life in sports is never a dull moment, whether you're working in it daily or just kind of supporting and things like that, man. So really quick, man, I want to toss it over to you, man. How you doing mentally, physically, spiritually, and all that good stuff?
Doing well, man. Cannot complain. I think anytime, tomorrow's not promised. I know we chat a little bit before the show, but for all our listeners and anybody that's knows us and everything like that, sometimes we just take day by day, and I think this is a good time to kind of show gratitude to each other, and as we kind of move forward. But I'm doing well. Above all, family is healthy. I'm healthy. It's funny that you mentioned about sports and ever changing. A lot of times we, I guess, understand that on the field, and as the days of playing on the field, our coach on the field are way behind me right now, and learning more and more on the business side of sports. That's not changing either. I mean, that's always changing, I should say, as well. And it's exciting. It's exciting. And I'm looking forward to the next year. I've had and I think we'll touch on this, but I think for the last maybe couple months, I'm not going to call it twisties like Simone Biles, but I've had to talk a lot about what I do professionally to crowds, and I just could not feel myself. And, recently had a situation where I felt myself back myself, and I could speak concisely and clearly and just talk about kind of what I do. And in a way, I'm like, I got my mojo back. I don't get a gold medal like Simone did, but I feel like the rest of the year is looking up. So business is good. Always looking to improve. Mentally, I'm okay. And, spiritually, I'm doing fine. Physical, I'm doing okay. I'm doing great as well. I can't really complain, man. But how's everything your way, man? How you moving? What's new for you? How you feeling? What's the check-in?
Yeah, man. So around this time, for those that don't know, I'm Leo, representing Leo season. So just coming off of, I don't want to coming off of, I'm still celebrating. It's Leo season, so I'll be out here with it.
Yeah.
So just celebrating another year around the sun, and going to keep providing that honor to myself, knowing that like we said, every day is not promised. So every day I'm above the ground, man. I attempt to make the best of it. Put that smile on my face, no matter what adversity I may be dealing with. But no, man, I'm good. Like I get to do this with my brother, right? Like we get to get on here, and like I think the gratitude part about it is when you hear other people talk about what we do. Like that is like one of the dopest things is when like, oh, you haven't heard? Oh, their podcast. No, it's authentic, right? Oh, it's so dope. Or I've been on the live show, or people take credit in that, and it just even at Summer League. I was at Summer League, rocking our stuff like we do when we get a chance to get out. Didn't get out to Summer League as much this year. We kind of did a show. We kind of hinted to it. I don't think we actually knew, because maybe you know what? I'm gonna put that on the list. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. But got to go out and had Anthony, who's one of the agents for sports agents, and he was here Summer League looking at his players and things like that. and just got to dap him up, say hi to him because it's always good to connect. And he's like, "Oh, y'all gotta be on the show or see, So it's like it was just a whole day of everybody like, "Oh, when you do the show, or let me watch," and So I just think that's a blessing for us, and to be 5 years, man. I mean, you look at there's some people that we started with that were doing this that we even kind of gotten credit or like looked at their model and seeing how we wanted to adjust it. And they're no longer here, man. So just that consistency of us doing this is just definitely a blessing.
Yeah, and I think that without dislocating my shoulder, patting each other on the back. Pause. I don't might sound crazy, but it I think it's a testament to just teamwork, and that's what I love about sports. Sometimes you gotta adjust roles and make sacrifices in some way. Sacrifices is not the best word to describe it, but you just accountable to your teammates, and I don't know. I think that's what we do is special. Just a partnership between me and you, but in general, I think that's just sports. It's working through adversity, going through trials, looking at the film. What can you do to get better? Making adjustments. Different coverages. However you're going to look at it, man. And that's the great thing about it. And it's been 5 years, and I know we started when everybody was kind of doing this space or trying to figure out this space when we were all virtual, and that feels like a decade ago. But we're still rolling and cooking, man. And that's kudos to you, and kudos to our listeners that's been rocking with us for a while now. And we're gonna keep doing it what it is.
And that's a great match, man. It's definitely because we do that, right? Like, and shit. Audibles. You didn't talk about audibles because we call some audibles, right?
Yeah.
Listen, fourth and long, got a long day, or I got this. So no, I think for me that's definitely one of the blessings. And like there are many, but I definitely want to keep a reference to the show and our listeners. Mentally, man, I think that's you have to choose to be in a positive light, man. And I definitely choose that. Like I said, every day from a gratitude perspective, just thankful that I'm here, right? Because it's not promised. So physically, I've been traveling a little bit, man. I just act like, I don't have no calories in the food I eat. So your boy's got to kind of refocus. I need a 2 days or a training camp to get it back together. So we're going to work on that, as this fall comes upon us. But other than that, man, so happy to be doing this with you, man. So happy for the listeners to check in with us, man. But you mentioned a very, very big thing that we talked about, and you mentioned it since we are in the Olympics about Simone, right? Like talking about a comeback, right? A big win. She stepped out for her mental health, and like that's one of the things why we do the check-in, right? Because sports for a long time didn't include that or didn't really talk about that. That was taboo, especially for men. And so we just really saw that with Naomi, I can't even say it. Osaka, she kind of like, yo, I'm not doing this because my head ain't right. And even your girl Brittany, she said she went through some mental things and like, just the change in her life, like any kind of major change. But like, I want to kind of focus on Simone for her to take what 3 years off, 3.5 years off, and then come back and like, let me get this gold.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and it's really humbling to me. It puts things in perspective. I mean, but those that have listened, and I mean, better than most my feelings on some of the mental components and what's life and what's going on. And I kind of in a way wish that I maybe this is the wrong way to say it, but like she was suffering through, I think they call it twisties, and the way they kind of framed it, it almost sounds kind of like something that my daughter, my daughter listens to or something. But I mean, when you think about it, and she is one of one, so she's doing things 10 feet in the air. If you truly don't know, where you are in the air and where you can land, that's life threatening.
And that's life too, though, right?
And that's life. And that is life. But
we just got deep on them.
Yeah. But to come back, put that behind you, I mean, and then reclaim your spot as the best in the world. That's a huge redemption story, and I think we can celebrate her for winning. But just to be out there competing again. I when I was watching the team event and they were, dominating, but so to speak, when one of the young ladies fell off the beam, and then essentially like the medal placement was on Simone towards the end, and basically the entire meet and the entire world at that point is kind of watching you, yeah, exactly, do your thing. And this is after you've had some mental traumas and stuff. It's hugely inspirational. I couldn't imagine that pressure or that relief or maybe that gratitude or how she's feeling in the moment.
And that's sending a message, right? Like,
yeah,
letting people know, like, look, if you're not right, the world can't be right around you, right? So to take that time, like, all right, let me hit pause or reset. Let me make sure I'm good in all the areas that I need to be. Okay, I'm good. All right, I took care of this. Boom, now let me go back and get it. Because we always think like it's only today, right? And I know you're not promised tomorrow, but like if you're not good in the day, you know what I'm saying, you're not achieving anything. So I agree, man. It was great to see her come full circle with it, right? Because it just sends a lot of messages. And that pressure, right? Like, because I saw the girl fell off the beam, one fell off the mat, and like, she was dealing with the calf again, like, but she just said, all right, I does this.
Yeah.
And she brought it home.
And shout out to the team. I don't know when, Simone Miles got flesh tone wraps. I know she had the calf injury. I didn't even know she was wrapped up. And I was like, oh, when they start getting flesh tone, ace bandages. So shout out to her for setting the trend there.
Setting the trend, like the Band-Aid colors, right?
Right. And then shout out, he gets a lot of I don't know what but her husband, Jonathan Owens, plays for the Packers. I think he gets a lot of treatment, but at the end of the day, the support system is kind of where I want to get at, and whatever anybody's support system is, I know they play a role, and obviously
that boy was in the stands taking notes, man.
Yeah, I hope taking a lot of notes because.
But no, he was like they were showing him like he was
gets back to practice soon because my guy, I hope he's back soon. But the support system is important, whether that's your spouse or a friend or whoever that may be. I think to have those support systems, I'm sure he played a role in her getting back to being on top of the world at her craft.
And just probably provide some stability. So no, 100%, man.
Right.
Let's stay with the Olympics, man, because I was going to go somewhere else. But we talked about we're going to have this, and I don't know if I want to give it away or not. But like you came to me, when they said, "Man, God spoke to me" or whatever. You came to me and said that you were ready to have a deeper discussion about LeBron. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But how big is when we talked about the GOAT debate? You said,
okay. Yeah.
Like not that he is the GOAT, but just like there's a little bit of kind of let's open the door a little bit about some different things. So anyway, him carrying the flag, like we said, like that was big, but then like to really think about it, like he's the first basketball player to ever do it for the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And then like in our Olympics show, we talked about how like really when you first think of Olympics, until the Dream Team, it was sprints. It was your Olympic sports. Like that's what they called it in college sports, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you play football, basketball, or the Olympic sports, right? That's how the trainers are put together. So when you thought about the Olympics, you're looking at the sprinters, all the track and field events, the all the gymnastics, weightlifting, all of these other things. And he's representing the Olympics by holding the flag. Like that was like just super dope, right? And then the Coco Golf, shout out to her too. But just for them to represent that, that says a lot about who he is, right? Like playing in multiple Olympic Games, what he means for USA basketball or Team USA, especially during this time where the playing field's, I want to say level, but they're getting there, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just not an easy way with these other teams. So I just think that was like a really, really big thing, and it just can't go unstated. We kind of maybe said it in passing, but I just think it's a really big thing for him, his legacy, and then what he means to basketball in the U.S.
Yeah, I think it's amazing too, and I think we're ready to have this discussion about GOAT status. because LeBron has always been in the forefront since I remember, man. And he's, he's into, I don't know how many decades he's played in the league. I'm sure we can probably figure that out. But, the different eras that he's played in the NBA, the way he's adjusted, he's kept a relatively low profile when it comes to, off the court, things. He's reached and probably went above and beyond anybody's expectation. And what's really significant, I think, about him carrying the flag is a lot of those other athletes that you mentioned, like, track and field and swimming and gymnastics. Those are, they're team sports because you're with the team and you're representing your country. And but those are kind of individual based, right? You're kind of running your thing, and basketball is a team sport. And for him to, I guess, kind of be able to shift his mode into the A1 athlete representing the country individually, but also willing to play within the confines of a team sport at the same time,
right?
While doing business over here, but obviously being a father and helping his son get to where he wants to do, and businessman with his friends and all that. I think that he has to get credit to where credit's due. And I think it's time to have that discussion. Now, I like Michael Jordan better, and I just think that's our heir. But you can't really hate on what LeBron's done. And if you hate on LeBron, just like you just
hater, right? Like Lil Skillet says, A1 hater.
Yeah, just a hater.
Because people sometimes want to discredit that stuff. But they forget that when we talk about MJ, we talk about that stuff, right? Like, we talk about how he changed fashion and, the big hoop in your ear and Gatorade and want to be like all of that sticks are terrible. All that stuff is a part of the legacy, right? Like a song about him is part of the legacy, right? Like, I want to be like Mike. So, no, it's definitely time to kind of, do a status check, right? Like, some people won't want to give it all to him, but he's putting some major marks and notches in that, man.
He's at least taken the blueprint and ran with it and been able. You can rightfully say that Jordan was able to pass the torch to him as like a major ambassador for the league, the world in basketball. So,
and it's hard to overtake the first. If you're the first, if you're the first to do it, you are the mold, right? Like, so you have to do a lot to break the mold. So, no, shout out to him. Stan, we're almost out of here, and then we're gonna rapid fire a little bit. But the WNBA, right? So the women, it's just so crazy. Like, they rolled over their first game, and I think they got another game coming up. So it's just kind of like next medal for them. I'm more want to focus on. And we've mentioned this, how they're taking a break, two breaks in the middle of their season. So not only do they take their all-star break, then they take an Olympic break, then they got to come back from the Olympics and be like, okay, let's finish this last half of the season because I'm on a championship run. So I'm just excited about what they did. The 3-on-3, our 3-on-3 women's team.
They struggled.
Oh, but they still cold though. That 3-on-3 is a little tough because now they've taken because Chelsea Gray was on that team, right? Last Olympics, and
I know Kelsey Plum was.
Kelsey Plum definitely was on that. Yeah. So it's just like that's you can get exposed.
Different game
on that 3-on-3. It's a total different game. So hopefully do that. But no, I'm excited to see. Wishing them well. Hopefully they bring home the gold, and then kind of back to the competitiveness that they have in the season, because we just started off with a whirlwind of their season.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the only thing that this has been done before, obviously, but I do remember pandemic, and it was like the world shut down, and then all of a sudden it's the bubble, and then it's almost like another season within the first season. So I would be really interested to see who's a team that maybe wasn't healthy in the first half of the season, or they've been at home and none of the players are competing in the Olympics, and now they're basically having another training camp. If you're like Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. Like you basically have had your rookie season. You get a little bit of a break. Maybe you go back into some kind of training camp mode, and then we'll see where you're at now for the second half of the season. It's like two seasons in one. So I'm really interested to see how that determines who's going to win the championship in the WNBA.
Because they have to be professionals, right? So it's kind of like, sometimes you can take a break. I mean, let's keep it a buck. We take a break during the holidays, and we were like, all right, it's time to get back. Like first week of March, second week of March.
But even the recharging of that,
100%,
100%, that clarity. Right? So we'll see.
So that's going to be good. And then I just also want to see the whole shut up and dribble part of it. So we're in an election year. I want to see what they pull out. Like they got a new owner for one team, put a whole nother senator, or was he a senator or is a representative, whatever he did with Warnock in Georgia. So I'm just interested to see kind of how they come together and what moves that they make, because they definitely led the way on that.
Going to be very interesting.
All right, so let's just jump in kind of like a quick just hits, man. If anything's on your head, say it. If not, we kind of move on. But, when we start a season, we do a quick recap. And, in that quick recap, sometimes there's stuff that we miss or sometimes we don't, think about. So just starting from, and we're not going to hit everything, but we just want to start with the Super Bowl, man. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you think about for the Super Bowl, MH?
No, I think we hit it all really for the Super Bowl. It was an exciting time in Vegas. Interested to see how New Orleans, this upcoming Super Bowl, goes about it. And I guess the greatness of Pat Mahomes and how he, I guess, goes into a different stratosphere when it comes to all-time discussions of quarterbacks and anything like that. What's the next step for him? So
we'll see. I mean, the Raiders already poked the bear a little bit.
Be all right.
Bringing puppets, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, new cycle. We'll
excited to see what AP does, man. I'm rocking, so supportive, love to see it. Wishing him the best. Like definitely, because like we represent, that's our local team here, so definitely want to see what he does. He gets the guys to play, so I'm really, really, really ready to see that. And one go off of whose prediction was it? I want to say who's the guy that runs the 40? Did he do it this year? By the way, I don't even remember. Rich Eisen, who said that, long story short, if you haven't seen that meme or clip, is that the Raiders are going to redeem themselves by the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl in our space by knocking them out in a playoff game this year, so Pat doesn't return. So that's the narrative that I'm going to hold on to and speak that into life, because I'd like to see them, if not make the Super Bowl, be the bad guys and knock those off for a little bit of redemption. So
I love it. I mean, Raiders last team that beat the Chiefs. So
there it is. And really quick, and I think I covered this, like the Super Bowl for me, just really working in it, dealing with that. It was just a lot. So, next year, I don't know, right? New Orleans is going to be one of those things. Like it's like Vegas attempt to be a wannabe, right? Like what they say, a broke Vegas. It's just a different feel. You know what I mean? As far as what you can do there. Still a great city, great entertainment, great food, but it's just not Vegas, you know what I mean? So I'm wondering, having kind of like that, where you're going from Vegas to that city, how that's going to do. So hopefully I go down there. I don't know.
Likewise, I want to get down there too.
It just depends on who goes. But it's going to be, exciting just to kind of see that Super Bowl. So we left Super Bowl, and I foolishly
I don't know how you did that.
rolled into All-Star Weekend. Definitely looking to see if I can get MH to go. But like I said, after football season, it's just a lot on both of us. It's in San Fran next year, man. What's your thought about the city? And like All-Star has been doing, some good things. Like when you talk about the NFL All-Star, they kind of don't quite have it yet. But the All-Star game, they've done a few things with like the new courts, a few of the new competitions. So like maybe they can have like Caitlin Clark challenge Steph this year because he's still, since he won it, and she's pulling from the logo. That would be dope. But what's your thought about the NBA All-Star coming up?
I mean, I think it's cool. I think basketball is in a really interesting time for a lot of different reasons. We're kind of filming this while the Olympics is going. You can argue that some of the best players in the world are not American, and who is that next? I think we talked about on the live. Who is that next? LeBron or whoever, KD, to kind of Steph to hold the torch of the NBA. I think that's interesting. One of the, kind of for the last, I would say 30 years or so, what TNT and Inside the NBA and Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley and Ernie Johnson and then Shaq, like what they've been for the sport. I mean, TNT, I think, covers the All-Star game. And I think there's last year of that and Amazon and all those type of things. And then kind of connecting the sports from a women and male perspective of, seeing the skills displayed at the same time on the same court is also fairly interesting. And, the TV money they talk about and what that's doing for the salary cap and how that works with, better than most, the corporate partners and all those things that are attached with All-Star Game. I just think the NBA is in a really, really interesting time, and I'm really interested for the next few years.
Word for it, yes.
how they're going to move forward, and it's very interesting.
And I think we even talked about that, right? Like it's a global game, right? Like if all the sports you talk about, well, except for soccer, right? Because it's working to get bigger here in the States, but like it is the premier global game. I would think if you talk about the major four, right? So, no, definitely understand that. Then we run through March. For me, the men were very lackluster. But old boy is making a killing enough where he's got back-to-back and he's turning down the Lakers. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting to see. But it was all about the winning for me, right? Like just the following and the excitement that the tournament had, man. But is there anything about the tournament you want to speak on that we haven't said, in the future?
No, just interested in Dawn Staley's next 2 to 3 years as well.
Yes.
You can put her resume up really closely with some of the pioneers in all of sport as far as coaching, but particularly in the women's game, you've had the Pat Summits and the Gino Remo, forgive me, Gino. From Connecticut and, all the other sports as well that you can put her in the name of. But she's entering that stratosphere of coaching and winning. I've said it before, but I will continue to say that I'm just praying for her during these times, because when you get to the top, how society is, we're just going to try to get you to come down. So,
for you.
Just praying for her.
Nice. We didn't talk much about college, but we'll get back into that, man. A lot of stuff is changing in college, man. Coaches leaving, NIL. We always talk about Colorado. We ride for them and just kind of seeing what they do. So get ready for the next live, or whenever you listen to this, check out the August live.
Please do,
because that's always going to be electric, especially when we have that topic. But it's just going to be interesting, man. And is this the year they expand the college, or are they doing it next? It's this year, right? It's coming up.
It's this year, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. This year, right? Yep, the playoffs. For me, I think the biggest thing, the past. I mean, give it up for Michigan. They kind of moved with the momentum that just you kind of felt was going to carry that. When anybody tests us against the world, Michigan versus everybody, that's what they rode the wave to, I think.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be interesting to see this year, and just all of the freaking program alignments, right? So this is where a lot of that stuff is, solidified. So, I was
really interested. I mean, us being on the West Coast right now, or in this time zone, is like the Pac-12, which I remember as a child is like no longer in existence, and then how that moved. Yeah. You got USC in the Big Ten. That's
crazy.
That is crazy to think about, especially when, they're traditionally Rose Bowl, and it's like Pac-10, Pac-12 versus the Big Ten in the Rose Bowl. And it's just a new era I really feel old.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that works. So, but it's going to be football. We're going to love it, and we're going to adjust and adapt us as humans, we always do, especially around that competitive game. So excited to see that. We brushed up on media when you talked about the TNT group. definitely one of the best shows. I mean, the probably best show on TV. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
hands down, docu-series, whatever, game show, like that is the best show. And we saw that it may be leaving. And then just as recently, we saw that they're fighting. They're like, we're not dead yet. So they may make a push for it. It may be too rich, but hopefully we don't see that leave. But on another note, we've actually done a show on our Unc, Big Unc. So I would like to kind of introduce this as Shannon versus Skip, right? Like you always have this when there's a breakup in a relationship, right?
Sure.
So we did it with Tom Brady and Coach. You know, you did it with certain people leaving certain teams. You know, how does KD going to fare since he left the Warriors? Blah blah blah. So in this vein, it kind of looks like it's edging for Unc here with the Skip versus Shannon. Actually, we've done two shows. We did the show with him and the beef that he had, but we also non-blanking. We also had was he the producer of or he helped create Club Shay Shay, right?
For sure. Yeah, my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, we apologize. Don't disrespect. We talked to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that, man? Just kind of how it was kind of done, where he was kind of banished and treated a certain way. It's just kind of sometimes you happen for the underdog.
Yeah, shout out to Stevie. Yeah, it's interesting. Shout out to Shannon Sharp too. I don't even think we look at Shannon Sharp like a football player anymore. Like he took the playbook, I guess, from Charles Barkley, and he's able to take the torch and kind of build his brand that way. But
right,
it's another era of what the debate show used to be, or what that used to be, and how that is kind of dying off. You see Stephen A. Smith does more on his own personal kind of podcast, and he mixes in politics and his hot takes and whatever at the same time. So I guess you can kind of see some of those transitions happening in real life. So shout out to that. And Skip has been real, bro. I like Skip because he's a Cowboys fan. I know that's an unpopular opinion to a lot of folks, but he's a Cowboy guy, so I appreciated Skip's take, but it might be time to go. He pulled out all. He was trying to win it all. He brought Paul Pierce.
He did.
Said, Lil Wayne, I need to be out there. Keyshawn.
Right.
I mean, he did everything he could, but shout out to him.
Absolutely. All right. I think I'm gonna kind of merge into this one, man. So we talked about the All-Star NBA All-Star being in Oakland next year. Well, where the Warriors play, so it's technically not Oakland.
Play.
So I hope they do something well around that city. And we haven't really talked much about the A's. I'm pretty sure we'll do a show on that. We are light on baseball. We talk about it when it matters, because hell, Shohei Ohtani assistant was cheating and placing bets and took the fall, and we ain't really talk about that. Let that be somebody. Who's the guy from the wide receiver from the Hawks? He got banned from the game, but I guess he didn't have a fall guy. We keep taking Oakland sports, so the A's may be coming here soon, but we really never talk about that. So let's put that on the agenda, man. Once we because it's not final, but it's kind of final. Because they're playing in Sacramento, right? Like for the next couple of years. So it's going to be interesting to kind of watch that develop.
Definitely. I'm assuming the Sacramento's going to probably be pretty aggressive too. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, man. So I kind of did that to talk about the next part is the league coming to Vegas, man. That conversation has been heating up and getting closer. The CBA, the collective bargaining agreement for the NBA is done, I believe, or at least the negotiations closer. They're going to finish it soon. And then after that is when they say they're going to announce the team. And it seemed like it was going to be Seattle and Vegas for a hot minute. And then now over the last, I would say, month, this has been other teams have been being added, right? Like, so you're talking Mexico City. I want to say, I can't remember the other one, but it's just kind of like now it's up to 4 teams. We're going to get a team. We better get a team. I hope we get a team. I guess I'll stick with that. But that conversation is interesting. And I'm ready for that to heat up, man. So we can start getting definite dates, where it's going to be, and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I guess I'm changing from what it was to what I'm looking forward to, man. So if not, definitely comment on that. But is there anything else you're looking forward to, man? As we get to the,
I mean,
the
it's
second
interesting.
half?
You said, yeah, and my bad. Multiple spots. Do you think it's a situation where, how do I put this? Vegas hosts Summer League. There's I guess they call it the Cup now, or the NBA Cup, or some kind
the
of
in-season thing.
Yeah, the
It's
in-season
called the Cup.
tournament.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
whatever they're calling it. Is it a situation where Vegas is almost like that neutral site area, and by putting a team there, like you mess with that as far as a branding perspective, or it doesn't matter?
Not at all. Too much money
Got
for
it.
the league in whole. And it doesn't matter that it's because your global destination for basketball want to be, like we just said earlier in the segment, that they want to be a global sport. We're
Yeah.
global now. So people are going to come in here during CES or during all these things, where we have a team that people will be kind of recognized to that team, and then I don't think Vegas doesn't give a home field advantage, because that's still wherever the arena will be, you can still do T-Mobile as a neutral site, right? There'll still be different things that they can do. And then now we'll have a traditional all-star weekend here, right? Because now we have a team here and the team gets to host all-star. And hell, the WNBA, shout out to Kalani KD, and say, wow, I was going to say it, but Deandra Douglas over there, they almost do the Aces host WNBA almost like every 2 years, the weekend, because it does so well, right? So I can see that it's coming back here soon, and I can see the NBA doing that as well, because no one wants to go to cold destinations during their All-Star time. Right?
For sure.
I went to Indiana. That first day was good. It was a fool you, because the next day, boy, that hawk came out the sky.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So what are you looking for the future? That's what I'm kind of wrapping my head around, man. Just want to hear more about, like, let's make it final so people can start putting their bids together. You've already heard now 3 people I know, as far as prominent names, want to be a part of groups. And then one I know because of my personal relationship, and I help run his foundation. But like Spencer Haywood wants to be a part of the groups, right? And he had the option of being a part of Seattle's or Vegas, because he played for Seattle, but he lives here in Vegas, so he's a name that wants to be a part of one of those groups. Of course, LeBron said he wanted to be a part of one of those groups, and he actually wants the Vegas team. We heard Magic speak at UNLV and said he's done businesses here. He's brought his Magic trade show here, so he said he wants to. And then, of course, Shaq is a longtime businessman and lives here in the town, or has residency, in the town, and said that he would like to be a part of that. So it's one of those things, right? Like, I want to see that hit up. I want to see like where the destination is going to be, and just that excitement around bringing that other top 4 to the town.
No, I'm with you. I mean, even Mark Wahlberg bringing, doing his studio stuff and all that kind of stuff. It does make sense for Vegas to have its squad. So we'll see.
Awesome, man. Well, final words, final thoughts, man, before we get out of here, man. Just appreciate checking in with you, man, always. Something we need to do. And, I hope the listeners kind of love this kind of free flow. As always, we'd love for you to, bring comments and topics. But anything else for the people, MH?
I'm good. Just looking forward to, as you mentioned, August, and as we get into football season that we always enjoy to discuss, and the interviews and those that we'll have that join us on the pod for the next part of the year. Just excited about that.
Absolutely. We got some good stuff coming up for you, so please stay tuned. We drop a show every Thursday, so please subscribe, like, and listen wherever you listen to podcasts. Definitely, if you're not subscribed, join that YouTube, because if you see it, you can believe it. And, we definitely want to get those kind of numbers up. So share the show if you're already a follow subscriber. And as usual, and as always, man, please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo, look. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap.